Welcome to Brainstorm MTG. I'm ELD, and this is Fast Effect, Double Speed Magic the Gathering. Now from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. This was part of our Wednesday night Legacy series, and we have a couple of regulars here. Pyle on Grixis Control versus Tony on Blue-Red Delver. They have faced up many times, often toward the end of the tournament in the winners brackets, and they are facing off early this time around. Very difficult matchup. A lot of ways this can go. We're seeing a great match so far with die rolling 8 and 8. Tony getting the best of it. He'll be on the play, and that is welcome for Blue-Red Delver. Getting a first turn Delver down really does increase his chance of winning. Flipping early and pushing through damage. Very important. And that's exactly what we see. Keepable 7 Volcanic Island into Delver, and Thoughtseize from Pyle going to see if it gets dazed or probably not forced. Only silver lining here is the loss of life. The perfect information, very welcome. And seeing a whole grip here. Stifle, Brainstorm, Force, Spell Pierce, True Name Nemesis. Interesting situation here. Brainstorm potentially draw into more lands. Stifle could pose a problem on mana development on the other side of the board. Of course, True Name Nemesis a real problem late on, and Brainstorm being taken. So Force, Spell Pierce, Stifle, and True Name left. See if he can naturally flip Delver. That is how it's done. Spell Snare now added to the mix of counters. And Pyle finds himself on a 5-turn clock against a hand with 3 counters. Spell Snare able to stop Baleful Strix. Very relevant. Brainstorm here. Need to find some type of removal, fatal push, something along those lines. And Ponder, end of turn. Ponder, second main. Delver is already flipped, so now it's really just about card quality. No, sir. Tony thinks he can do better. Often the right play. With a deck like Blue-Red Delver. A lot of redundancy. Very often, if there's something specific you're hoping for, like burn, might as well just spin the wheel instead of settling. Got plenty of counters. Brainstorm being allowed to resolve. Only looking at 3, possibly 4 turns without a fetch land. Inquisition now shows the cards that we already knew about. Spell Pierce going away. And a solid draw there. Setting Grixis back. Ponder's not going to be good enough either. The Noose tightening. And Gurmag Angler doesn't do very much as far as counterplay goes. Fetching. Does it draw a Stifle? Well, I'm not exactly sure what we're seeing here. Stifling a fetch, and then Gurmag coming down. Not exactly sure what the miscommunication was there, but Gurmag not going to do anything to further the plan. An answer must be found. Found very quickly. I don't know if we get the fetch land in. If that life total is correct. It's possible that it should be 3 because of the fetch. Down to 1 lightning bolt, and that'll do it. Perhaps a little extra damage, not entirely sure, but when you do stifle a fetch land, they do pay the 1. The the life payment is part of the activated ability, not on the resolution. One of the little benefits of playing Stifle in Blue-Red Delver is it actually does care about those small incremental changes in life. Playing cards like Vapor Snag, for example, being happy to just get those little chips in, it all adds up. You're beating down with these just very efficient creatures. You've got Delver, Snapcaster, Paramander's a card that some of the Blue-Red Delver lists are experimenting with. Some people feel like it's a flying Gurmag Angler. Other people feel like it is just way too cute and vulnerable to all the same things that Delver is vulnerable to. Let me know what you think in the comments about the Terramander tech. Is that a card that you're on board with, or is the jury still out? I tell you, I was surprised that it's only an uncommon. I had a lot of people looking for the card. Of course, our inventory here mostly geared toward the established legacy staples. Not a ton of standard stuff in stock. I've had a few Terramanders in after the fact, but when people first started asking for it, I assumed it was a rare. Especially given the price point. It was like a $3 card, which, you know, sounds about right for standard. But yeah, it's just an uncommon, so not bad. Wizards printing some uncommons that actually have some value. That is definitely a bonus for people who are drafting, which we will be doing here at ELD's Time Vault Games. If you are in the area, Friday nights is going to be the night for that. Drafting a great way to sharpen up, in general, your Magic skills. That's actually how I started vending cards. My draft winnings, that'll be a story for another day, probably in a really slow match, and I don't expect that to be the case here. Blue-Red Delver, so let's see what Tony has. Bloodstained Mire. A basic swamp over there as well for Volcanic Island. And brainstorming in response. Got a Wasteland. Taking out this Volcanic. And another Wasteland in hand. Fetching again, Inquisition. Having a basic swamp. I believe that was put back with the Brainstorm. Inquisition. Taking Young Pyromancer. Polluted Delta being sacrificed for Ponder. Also off of Volcanic Island. Guys playing at a very fast pace. Actually putting their cantrips on the stack before the lands enter the battlefield. They are not interested in going to time, and they know the possibility of that with Grixis control. It can turn into a slog. Of course, Tony hoping that things go nice and quick for him. Got to leave enough time to be able to win game 3. Nothing worse than a little sloppy tournament management, leaving you unable to win an otherwise winnable game just because you run out of time. Swamp and Island now. Powering out this Gurmag Angler, which gets dazed. Oh, devastating. That is super rough. So Pile could have delved 1 extra card, leaving a mana open to play around Daze, and let that be a lesson to you watching at home here. Snapcaster considerations versus Daze. Getting that Gurmag to resolve, way more important. Ooh. Talk about tiny decisions having a massive impact. Saw one there. Olgin's Command returning Gurmag Angler. And we're going to see a discard from Tony, hitting a basic mountain. We see Force. I think it might be Swamp along with Gurmag Angler. Perhaps Lightning Bolt. Bunch of cards over on Grixis' side here. Wasteland for Tony. Wait and see what this Brainstorm shows before committing to the land drop. Not worried about days on the other side of the table. Wasteland taking out that Badlands. Now Baleful Strix. Baleful Strix, a real problem. Quite the wall. Have started messing around with a Sliver's Brew, and Baleful Strix is a problem card for that deck. We got 2 mana. Couple of Volcanics into Young Pyromancer. Tony not really worried about Blood Moon. Not a card that you'd really want to bring in against Blue-Red Delver. If they have a single basic island, it really doesn't do anything. And they can still beat you if all they have is red mana. So certainly not pulling enough weight for a 3 mana sorcery speed spell in an otherwise very fast matchup. Gurmag Angler now coming down. Xaxes again. Force of Will, this time pitching Brainstorm. Force back, pitching Baleful Strix. And Young Pyromancer throwing out a team of potential blockers. Gurmag can be held at bay pretty much indefinitely by Young Pyromancer if we don't find a answer on pile side of the board. Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt, double bolt expenditure here. 2 for 1 with Gurmag, but pretty well worth it. Gonna need a sweeper on the other side of the board, and that's exactly what we have. Toxic Deluge. -1/-1 for only 1 life. That is a bargain. And another Gurmag. So many Gurmags this game. Not going to be able to 2 for 1 that guy indefinitely. Fetching into a True Name Nemesis. That prompts a Brainstorm. Certainly worth Force of Willing. Going to be tough to remove otherwise, given that Toxic Deluge in the bin. Snapcaster into Toxic Deluge. Not the most stellar play, but it might be where things have to go. That Ponder not finding the necessary goods. And a Hymn to Torok going to clear out just a land. Not particularly impressive there. Tony essentially going to be playing Hellbent. Not going to win the race. Oh, and Winter Orb. The EMA reprint, that gets Force of Willed. So, excellent situation there. Top decked a bomb. Cleared out all the existing resources. Fatal Push on the other side does not help against True Name Nemesis. That guy standing up against pretty much everything. Oh, but here's a Snapcaster and Toxic Deluge as forecasted. There we go. Just going to beat for 4. And that is going to do it. Game 2 going to Grixis control here. Plenty of time left on the clock for Game 3. Let's see if it can be as exciting as those 2 games. Talk about some back and forth action. Snapcaster Mage, so good in Grixis. I mean, Colgan's Command, that is just value on value. If you are a fan of value, Grixis Control may be where you want to be. Really the perhaps the premier control deck of the format. Miracles also putting up tremendous numbers, very popular. I believe Miracles may be a little bit more popular right now. Most of the Miracles list currently running Accumulated Knowledge. Does complicate the heck out of the mirror. Finding draw engines and Legacy, surprisingly difficult to nail down the best option. Delver of Secrets for Tony here, as he would prefer. And on the other side, we've got a Ponder and a Pyroblast. Well, likely going to make sure to have at least one open mana, be able to pay for days. Oh, and actually Lightning Bolting the Delver. Brainstorm with a fetch. And Pyroblast on the Brainstorm. A Spell Pierce or Daze particularly damaging here. Keeping Delver alive would be a real problem after committing 2 potential removal spells. Spell Pierce. It's like spell piercing the Pyroblast and allowing the removal to clear Delver out of the way is surprising. Might have expected the opposite. See what happens next. Looks like we've got a little slowdown in the video. Tony fetching. We may have lost the video here. What a bummer. Second here. May have had some technical difficulty here. Gonna have to call it. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like we were only getting 2 games out of this match. A little technical difficulty. If I recall correctly now, I'm thinking about it. I think actually we did have a power issue here, so I apologize for that. I hope you enjoyed those 2 games, and that's all I got. Sorry.